Hello. Here we are, Thursday, and we are into our first lab for genetics. This is one of my favorites, mostly because it's kind of fun, and I really enjoy creating what I call the parade. So once this is done and everybody's completed it, I will be collecting all of the pictures independently of the labs, and we'll have a little parade here in class. Ladies and gentlemen, this is lab number 19, the Ugly Baby Lab. So, you will find this, technically it's not called Ugly Baby Lab in most cases. I call it that. Usually it's called determining the result of inherited gene. Not as much fun. So, take a look in Schoology. We're done with units 1, 2, and 3. We're now into unit 4, genetics. In week 1, which will be just today, Thursday, and Friday, tomorrow. And there it is, the Ugly Baby Lab. Now, this lab is pretty straightforward. And you can read through the beginning as you need. It will be useful for some of the questions. But here is our procedure. You're going to flip the coins. 2 heads or 2 tails is female. That's the first step. A head and a tail is male. So that will determine the sex of the child. Then circle female or male on your data sheet. Next, for all coin tosses, you will now make heads will represent the dominant gene and tails will represent the recessive gene. Coin should only be flipped once for each trait. Each coin represents one gene of a gene pair, one from mom, one from dad. So you'll be flipping 2 coins for every trait. You're then going to use these randomly selected traits to draw the facial features of your offspring in the space provided. I'll show you that in a moment. And then finally, answer the questions that relate at the end. No problem. So here are our charts, and this is a little bit hard to read, so I'm going to rotate it over a little bit. There we go. And zooming in just so we can see really this first one. All right, so the first trait that you're going to go for is the shape of the face. Dominant means both of your coins end up heads. Hybrid is your middle column, 1 head, 1 tail. Does not matter what order it is. And then recessive trait is both tails. All right, so that is how we are going out. Don't want to do that. That is how we're going to figure it out. Now, I have something that will probably help everybody. If you come back to Schoology, you're going to see this thing called Coin Flipper. That will take you immediately to this link. All right, now this is really, really useful because according to the lab, the rule is heads is our dominant. Tails is our recessive. So we can change the letters or the labels to make it a little bit easier for us in our lab. All right, so now we're going to need to flip it twice. We need to find this first trait, the shape of the face. So we're going to flip. There's 1 recessive, flip. 2 recessives. Okay, so now we'll come over here. We got 2 recessives. And so I'm just going to make a mark in here. That's the trait. So my child in this case will have a square-shaped face. Then we move down to the next one, cleft in chin. Oh. All right, let's flip. Dominant and recessive. So that's a hybrid, 1 dominant, 1 recessive. So now I'll make a mark here. You get the idea. You're going to do this for each one of these traits. Flip 2 coins. This first one is when you get dominant and dominant. This middle one is dominant. That's a weird D. And recessive. This one at the end is recessive and recessive. The same pattern holds true for over here on the right-hand side. The first column will be our double dominant. The end will be our double recessive. And the middle will be that hybrid where we get one dominant and one recessive. So you're going to double flip for each one of these, mark down what you get. Then we're going to come down to this next page. And in this space, we will create and draw our square-headed child with a smooth chin. So I don't need to add that. And you will add in each trait for the eyes, the hair, the eyebrows. Now, I have set up our lab turn-in so that you can upload more than one file. If you want to do the drawing on a separate sheet of paper and then just upload it with the lab, you are more than welcome to do that. It should not give you any problems for that, I hope. And then once you're done drawing, then you're going to come down to answer the questions. So first of all, these first two I want to help people with because people are always confused by it. Name 3 hybrid traits that show dominance. So we're going to come back up to this chart. And now we want a hybrid trait right here that looks the same as the dominant trait. So for instance, shape of face. The hybrid trait is round. The dominant trait is round. So that is a hybrid trait that shows dominance. So I would come down here and put in shape of face. Shape off of face. Right? Now, you're going to need to find 2 others where the hybrid looks the same as the dominant. Then, we want 3 hybrid traits that show some kind of blending. So we come back up to the chart again. Now we want a hybrid trait in the middle that looks different from both the dominant and the recessive. We want to see that they have blended together to make something new. Well, if you take a look at something like hair, the dominant is curly, the recessive is straight, the hybrid in the middle is wavy. So this is showing blending. It's not the same as the dominant. It's not the same as the recessive. So it's a blending of the two. So we would come down here and we would say that hair is one hybrid trait that shows blending. Now, number 3, don't worry about number 3 just yet. We're getting ahead of what we're doing in class. So we're going to worry about number 3, and in fact, most of the questions later. You can answer number 4, but beyond that, you know what? We're just going to say all of these will be later. We'll work on them as a group later. So that is your assignment today. You will attempt to draw your glorious child after first having determined, is it male or female? 2 heads or 2 tails means female. 1 of each means male. So there's a tail. And there's a tail. So I got 2 tails. That means that in my example, this would be my lovely daughter. All right. I hope that helps as we roll into this awesome unit of genetics. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing everybody in class.